Rogan Report podcast. Check it out.
All things Joe Rogan by day. Rogan Report podcast by night. All day. All night. Half hour to an hour-ish episodes once a week.
The Rogan Report podcast.
All right, Shane. Welcome to episode 29 of the Rogan Report.
29 already.
Yeah, time is flying.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the busiest weeks of all weeks this week. We were just talking about all the things going on.
Just everything happened.
My beloved Masters tournament, of course, starts this week. Starts today, in fact. Today's Thursday, the day we're recording it, and today was the first day of the Masters.
After we were talking about your golf thing last time, I saw in the news that a Canadian won it big at the Masters tournament of some sort. Recently.
The Masters tournament started today.
This week. There was another one, though, like you were about
there's
not too long ago.
Yeah. I don't know if a Canadian won one of the tournaments or placed well.
Maybe
the last big ones that I can think of are all not Canadians.
It must have been pretty non-climactic.
Mike Weir won a tournament, and today there was a guy named Corey Connors. He's from Canada, and he was winning the Masters tournament for the first until other people started playing.
That's what it was, Corey Connors.
Was it Corey Connors?
Yeah.
He's a great little golfer for sure. And I think he
but
did
he was
have
just
some
like
good
winning
results.
the tournament, but hadn't. Like, how is he winning?
So he was winning, but then there's still a whole bunch of other people that have to tee off and play. So he was at -3, and he was winning it for a while. But then once the other, all the top guys in the world teed off later, and then they ended up surpassing.
It just takes forever for everybody to actually get their number on the board.
Exactly.
Got it.
So the leading score right now ended up being -6, and I did want to get into this, but you know what, Shane, I had an idea for a new segment, sort of, and I thought we would call it Right Off the Topic, and it would be starting off the podcast, instead of something being Rogan related, just starting off the podcast with something maybe related to our lives or something else. Just complete, like last week, I started with that story about bird penises. Yeah, you recall?
That's a good idea. Yeah, and I actually have a similar. I mean, not the same idea, but a similar thought. I'd like to drop hints about the news.
Yeah,
kind of.
We could definitely talk news. There's some crazy election shit going on right now this week as well. Another big thing. Yeah. There's also a big UFC coming this Saturday. Yeah. There is the start of the NHL playoffs kicked off here just yesterday. I think was the first day of games.
And we didn't make it.
Yeah, no Edmonton in there, unfortunately. But a couple Canadian teams, Winnipeg and Toronto.
Nice. That's good for the Toronto.
Yeah. A friend of mine was posted a picture of his picks for the NHL playoffs, and he had Winnipeg winning it.
Oh, yeah?
I think that's optimistic. But
that was a team that was gone for a bit, wasn't it? And then it came back, the Jets? Or am I thinking a different team?
No, they were gone for a bit. Yeah, they moved. They didn't. They moved the team to the States, actually. Right. And then they started a new team now, I think, is what happened.
Yeah, that's pretty rare, I bet. I feel like once a city loses a team, it's kind of gone.
The Minnesota North Stars, they moved to Dallas and became the Dallas Stars.
That's right, yeah.
Previously. Teams do move from time to time.
Yep.
Anyways, let's keep talking about the Masters because I'm excited about this. And also, in a related to Joe Rogan move, I went to mybookie.com and created a MyBookie account and dropped some cash on the Masters based on my picks previously. So of my picks, I decided I would put $20 on Rory McIlroy and $20 on Ricky Fowler this was before the Masters even started, just to place in the top 5. So if either of those guys place in the top 5, I get $80 from each of them.
Shit.
Or either of them.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Ricky had a pretty good day today. He's at -2 right now. Yeah. So he's definitely in close. Rory was +1, and Rory was actually more favored than Ricky was. And the big stories today were Brooks Koepka. This guy, and I don't know why, I should have had him on my picks for last when we talked about this, because the guy's won the last Masters he played in, he didn't have any major wins. There's 4 majors every year in PGA golf. Yeah. And then there's a whole bunch of other minor tournaments, I suppose. Didn't have any major wins. And then now, this year, he's got 3 of them.
Wow.
He's won 3 of the last 6 majors that he's played in, which is pretty pretty unreal, and definitely. So you should think that, of course, he's going to be favored. And now today he's in the lead at -6. So I quickly dashed in there and threw a quick $20 on his on him. once I saw him playing well, I was like, oh yeah, of course.
Betting.
It's pretty fun. It makes makes whatever you're watching that much more exciting.
Oh yeah.
So I also went in and dropped $10 on Max Holloway to beat Dustin Poirier.
You got Holloway?
I did. Yeah, I did. I think he's gonna win.
Yeah. I think so too.
And then also I put $10 on Adesanya to beat Gastelum.
Yeah, I think that too
as well. So
I think we might. I mean, there's this possibility for a shocker there with Gastelum.
Oh, of course, both of them
got the
really
knockout power, but
yeah,
Adesanya is just so skillful. Like, I just don't see him losing that.
It's
fight.
the like Vegas odds are not like way out of control on either of them. They're pretty. They both of them were favored, but it was like I think I want to say that Holloway was a -220 and that Adesanya was like a -135 or 150.
Oh shit! Then neither is that significant.
No, both like pretty evenly matched.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Poirier won his first fight.
He did.
But I mean, just the last few showings from Holloway.
Oh, unreal!
He's a goddamn master.
He's looked like the
a
best.
wizard.
He's looked like the best fighter pound for pound in the UFC.
Yeah.
In his last couple showings, so
yeah,
got to give it to him.
I mean, controversy coming out of the UFC. Speaking of the UFC,
yeah,
our boy, fucking TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, he
hot
tested.
For EPO.
He tested hot. Yeah, that's why he wanted to fight so bad.
2 years gone now.
That's 2 years, eh? Is that what they ended up deciding?
Yeah.
I didn't see.
That was just today
I heard
or yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't hear about that.
Fucking just brutal.
That sucks. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think he was like, is he saying it as unintentional? That
I don't think he's come out yet, other than to say that he's relinquishing the belt. And, well, he's relinquished the belt. It's being fought for already.
Shit.
So I think Marlon Moraes and Cejudo are going to fight for it. So
that makes sense.
Fucking heartbreaking, though.
Yeah. I wonder,
Meanwhile,
he was
John Jones fails every test and gets to keep fighting. Like,
yeah.
It's just mind-blowing, man.
Well, and that crazy illegal knee as well.
He gets to just do whatever moves he wants.
Yeah.
That's fucking retarded, man.
He just grabs guys in headlocks and just finger pokes them straight in the eye a bunch of times.
Totally.
Anyway, so that is also, what else was happening this week? NBA playoffs start.
Oh yeah.
The baseball season has just kicked off as well.
Yeah.
Here, which is pretty cool. Those guys play for
all baseball and basketball?
Not so much. I mean, I'll watch the Blue Jays if the Blue Jays are playing because I have a hard time cheering for teams that I don't really have any connection to.
Yeah.
So like, the Edmonton has teams. I cheer for the Edmonton teams.
Yeah.
I was from Saskatchewan, so I'll cheer for the Rough Riders and Saskatchewan teams. But like, the further it gets away from here, the like less I seem to care. And if it's like NFL football, for example, or the NBA, I guess there's the Raptors. We have a Canadian team, but with NFL, there's no Canadian teams, and I just don't really know how to choose what team I would like to start cheering for.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you just have to have a lot of money in this city to have a legit baseball team, or what's the deal? I wonder why Edmonton doesn't, or why lots more Canadian teams don't, for that matter.
I guess you have to have the amount of people that are interested in it.
Yeah, and there's just no interest here for baseball much.
Yeah.
Eh?
I mean, we had the Trappers, and then we still have a minor league team. But
I mean, did you ever pay to go in any of those?
I did go to the Trappers. I played ball actually. I played little league like all the way up until it started to get a little bit too competitive, and I was like 13 or 14. I guess it would have been like juniors.
The Trappers, we used to get free tickets like almost every school year.
Oh yeah,
so, like at the end of the school year. And
yeah.
So I used to go every year at least once.
Yeah,
the Trappers.
Yeah, I wouldn't go. I mean, I wasn't like we didn't have season tickets or nothing.
I wasn't jacked for.
But I go 2 or 3 times a year.
Hot dogs and popcorn.
Yeah, ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of
honestly,
fun.
we used to have fun just running around the stands and like just dicking around in the stadium.
Yeah, it's a little bit. If you have to sit there and watch the game, it's a little boring.
It's boring as hell.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's not very.
It's maybe the worst sport to watch.
It might be. I mean, on TV, it's a little bit better because you can. Well, I mean, really, the thing with any sports is like beers and snacks and hanging out with your friends makes it all a lot better.
100%.
So I've got a master's party coming up. I sent you details on it.
Yep.
Are you going to be coming to the master's party on Sunday?
Yeah, I might make it to that.
Okay.
There's a couple of items on that list I might have to dig around for, especially a putter. But
Sure. I mean, I do have. You could also borrow a putter, and I actually have a couple of extras. Are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could borrow one of my putters. We could fix you up.
Okay.
How about the like $20 for the pool and the $5 for you got $30 on you? You can bring.
I feel pretty confident in being able to win that. So.
Okay, well, perfect. Then you won't be. You'll be
luck,
up,
right?
You're going to be up a whole bunch rather than down.
Yeah.
So the other thing I thought of for right off the topic, I don't know if we want to go. Actually, you know what? You go with tell your Rogan thing, and I want to talk politics later.
Okay, for sure.
So let's talk about your topic here,
okay,
and then we'll get into fucking Jason Kennedy.
So I mean, it's only based pretty loosely. I kind of drew from Kevin Hart this week, and I kind of struggled to actually pull a topic this week.
Yeah, I did too.
But he brought up something that's kind of big with him, and I watch him on Instagram, him and The Rock, and they're both big on positivity and working hard and doing your best all the time.
It is important.
Always being really awesome at everything, basically. Yeah. So,
yeah.
But he's huge into positivity, and so that's where I kind of careened off. The positivity thing kind of got me out of my conspiracy thing.
Oh, okay.
Like I've mentioned that a few times on the show that I had a bit of a dark hole I went in with conspiracies.
Yeah, you had a tinfoil hat made to your circumference of your head.
I don't know if you remember a book called The Secret. I'm sure you do.
Of course, yeah. Rogan talks about it all the time.
Not know about The Secret and live in North America.
I've never read it, but I've heard Rogan. Actually, I think I probably learned about it from Rogan.
Yeah. Well, I read it, and then I saw the movie. Okay. And then I actually went further, and once you
made a vision board.
Oh yeah, I did everything.
Oh wow,
I did everything. I followed one guy in particular that was one of the teachers on The Secret, because it's basically a bunch of different. I'm saying teachers. You can't see my air quotes.
Okay,
there's air quotes.
Yeah, like Oprah was big into it, wasn't she? Were they on Oprah at one point? And Oprah was like, "Yeah, that's right."
As a side note, does that ruin her credibility?
I don't know. I don't think so. People love her just as much. Yeah,
not at all. But I liked a guy named James Arthur Ray, who was one of again air quotes teachers. So I followed him a lot. I bought his book and I went through the whole thing. I wrote down there's a lot of actual homework involved when you're doing this.
Wow.
Where you're writing down your goals and your visions and where you want to be and fucking ad nauseum.
What were your goals? Do you still have your vision board?
I wish I actually had not so much a vision board as a notebook full of everything. I still have it somewhere. I don't know.
Did you cut pictures out of magazines and glue them in there?
No, what I did actually, I just took pictures off the internet and I made a collage thing on just a paint or whatever. I don't have that anymore either. But
no,
this is 2010. I got into all this.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I mentioned it. 2006 is when The Secret came out.
Oh, okay.
So it was already pretty old news when I came around to it. That's the way of it with me.
You were also still old enough to know better at that point, but
yeah,
or no,
maybe old enough to know better about conspiracies too.
I guess that there's a lot of.
I was late to the internet.
A lot of people were also a lot older than you that were getting into The Secret. Yeah. So
I was big time late to the internet party. Although in some ways I'm way more advanced than so many people I know. I feel like
okay,
when it comes to being knowledgeable about social media and the internet in general.
Yeah,
but I didn't come around to it till pretty late. I had kids really young, and that was my focus for a long time. And
that makes sense.
As they grew up a bit.
Yeah, now fuck them. They could, you
figure it
out. Who cares?
Sink or swim, bitches. No. No, but
wipe your hands.
I just didn't have time for computers in general or the internet. So when I did discover the internet and I discovered YouTube and fucking black holes, that's first I went conspiracies, and then I found the light at the end of the tunnel, which seems to be when you go down the conspiracy tunnel, you end up over here at the positivity tunnel. That's kind of how it goes.
So of the collage, how many things have come to fruition in your?
Actually, oddly, and come and gone. I like to think that things are up and down. For me, I don't know about everyone else, but my life's a bit up and down. So
yeah, for most people, I think.
Yeah. So for sure, I saw some of the things that I wanted to see.
Well, you're working more on your art now than you had in previously. Was that one?
That wasn't even a thought.
There was no kind of
artistic
thing in it.
No, and that's what I was into when I was a kid.
I would have guessed for sure that it would be.
When I let that go, I kind of never thought I'd go back to it. But
interesting.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what kind of got me into that. A couple of the other I don't know if you want to call them snake oil or charlatan-y, but there's like Think and Grow Rich. Have you heard of that book? By Napoleon Hill. That's another.
I haven't.
So The Secret and all these other books, when you like read them and then you kind of look at their sources and you go read those sources, all these things are just regurgitating each other over and over and over. And that's what I've discovered.
Interesting.
Go back to the 20s or whenever this Think and Grow Rich was written, literally a long ass time ago, like before the Depression or after the Depression, I'm not sure.
Oh,
before
wow.
the war. Anyway.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It kind of makes sense. Like if you're thinking about being poor and you're thinking about like, and not focusing on doing things to improve your life and not focusing on things that you want.
Yeah.
Obviously you're not going to get those things.
Yeah. Well,
that you
okay.
want.
So I kind of glossed over that part. That's basically what The Secret boils down to, is the law of attraction. What you think about, you bring about.
Yeah.
But they go even further as to be like, if you want to be a millionaire and you think hard about being a millionaire enough, you're going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
If that were true.
It doesn't really, yeah.
Everybody wants $1 million, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe not everyone's thinking hard for it.
You have to think about some other goals in between just being a millionaire and thinking about it. Like you have to
that's
think
dangerous
about
thinking.
Yeah.
You can't let go of the idea that the hard work has to come there before you get that thing.
There's a lyric, the song First Day of My Life, one of my favorite songs. I put it on my last album.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lyric at the end of that song that says, I'd rather be working for a paycheck than waiting to win the lottery. Yeah. And it's like, I think about that sometimes because I also think about winning the lottery sometimes and daydream about what that would be like.
Oh, for sure.
And then, but I think I think it can get unhealthy if you let it, if that becomes your only focus and you stop focusing on like working and focusing on getting yourself to whatever next goals you have in your life, then that it can be really bad for you to just focus on trying to win a lottery.
Well, I think a lot of when it comes to becoming rich, if you don't have all the work put in and all the sacrifice, when you just suddenly get a whole bunch of money, it's not going to fucking matter as much, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to do all the work to get there.
That's true.
I think that's why the lottery winnings often go right down the toilet.
Yeah, because they don't really care about it.
It's non-money. You know what I mean?
I wonder.
It's disposable automatically. It's already you can let it go because didn't cost you anything.
That makes sense.
Your lottery ticket.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
think people like quit their jobs and then that's what leads to them.
It's probably
blowing all their money and I think winning, maybe you're almost better off to win like a small, like a 500,000, like a house sized lottery.
You can't hurt yourself too bad with that.
Yeah, like that. You pay off your debts, you get a house paid for, but then you still have to support yourself, and so you still have to have like meaningful employment. And they've talked about it on Rogan a whole bunch about how working, it keeps you like being productive is an important part for your psyche. Yeah. Speaking of which, you're looking for jobs now.
I am
again. New jobs.
Yeah.
What's happened there?
Well, a lot of things, but mainly I don't have a car right now, which is the main thing.
Yeah.
But
that makes it. So you're looking for something closer to here.
Yeah.
You guys were also trying to move to the West End at some point. That's I guess
that's on the table actually.
Still.
Yeah. I mean, we're here right now. Rent's paid here, so we're here. But yeah, it depends on what direction I go. I was kind of leaning heavily on skip the dishes, and I was actually doing pretty well at it.
Sure.
Took away that, and
Oh yeah, skip the dishes what requires a vehicle.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty open right now. I'm open to new ideas, honestly.
What are you thinking?
I'm not trying to commit too much to anything. Like, I'm just taking a job. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to like give it my whole fucking everything necessarily. I've got other things. I've got this. I've got doing art drawing. I mean, this doesn't take up a whole lot of my time. But
and nor does it pay a whole lot of any bills.
Anyways.
I don't know. I've been thinking about this podcast and like, could it ever be monetized? Or like, I've just been struggling with like, is there an audience for this? And that's partly why I wanted to change it up a little bit and try new formats, because I just feel like the recapping, it's kind of a good idea because there's a lot of people out there that don't have enough time to listen to all of the Joe Rogans every week.
Yeah.
And, so they can get a quick recap. And I kind of, that was my initial sort of instinct for it, because I was going to listen to them anyways.
Yeah.
So we could just do it. But then that turned into, we made it And I don't know. We have a decent amount of listenership, I guess.
We have pretty much 200 people per episode.
Yeah,
I mean,
about
not huge,
the ballpark of 200 listens per episode.
Yeah.
But also, I feel so skeptical about like those listens are coming from people that like are sleeping and it just like plays. And
they're playing through all their podcasts that download.
Yeah, it just comes on and I don't know if that's the truth. But
I would give it a solid 20% of it. Might be that.
Like, some of it for sure. Some of those listens are not people listening, mostly because we just don't have like I'm used to with my old podcast, Hijack Dead Space. We had a lot more engagement with fans, and I like that about the old podcast. I like answering questions that people send in. I like talking to listeners and interacting with people and like hearing stories
for sure,
from people about how they're enjoying the show or what ideas they might have for things they could do differently.
Yeah, I had hopes for that too, actually.
Yeah, and
I'm not really sure how to get them.
There's been minimal amounts of that.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder, like, oh, maybe this isn't the right, maybe, but I don't know because no one said, hey, fuckface, stop doing what you're doing.
I think maybe the fact that you guys had guests might have had something to do with that too.
Yeah,
and
because those
topics every week because of different guests.
Sure, yeah,
right.
A different guest like has an amount of fans that are excited to hear that person,
exactly.
right? So there's always a new. That was the nice thing about with guests for sure.
And for sure, we're getting a small portion of that for sure because every time we're hashtagging what we're into, whatever episode, what we're talking about, I'm hashtagging that. So we're drawing some notice, but
trying to link up to whatever guests have been on their most recent Rogans.
And then with the pod art, I try to do it like that too.
Yeah,
I mean,
I like that aspect of the show. That's one of my favorite parts of the show.
We're drawing some, but I don't think we're drawing a whole lot.
Yeah,
honestly.
Not enough that.
And I'm not even sure that the Instagram listeners are really, or the Instagram seers are listening to the show even.
No,
you know I mean, I think it's two different things.
And maybe a couple of them are, but probably not most.
Well, I know there's at least one, or no, two, because we've had two questions.
That's true. Anyways, so I don't know what I'm not sure exactly how we got to that topic, but
you were saying about changing the format.
Yeah, but how did I get to change the format?
I don't even know if that's what happened, but anyway. So yeah, I don't know. That's about kind of it about positivity.
Is it?
I mean,
Jane, I need you to be more positive.
I feel pretty positive. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay.
But I did want to talk the news a little bit before I pass it.
Yeah.
Kind of big to me in the news today. Julian Assange was arrested from his embassy, from his Ecuadorian embassy in London.
Bastards. By American police?
By London police.
By London police.
Publicly said he's going to America
he's going to be extradited?
To be charged.
What?
For treason, basically. Him and Chelsea Manning.
That sucks.
Because they colluded and created WikiLeaks and the whole thing that happened in 2010. But I guess he was being disruptive and aggressive at the embassy and actually got himself kicked out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But maybe he's going crazy. I mean, he looked crazy as fucking bald. Did you see the pictures of him, video of him being arrested?
No, I didn't.
He looks like a crazy person.
Okay.
He looks like him.
I will watch those for sure.
Like when you pull the mask off the dude in Scooby-Doo. For those Madeline kids. That's the vibe I got of it.
That's too bad because I do feel like he did a great thing with WikiLeaks and
I think so,
an important work that was necessary for us as a society. And
you're getting outcries from all corners.
Yeah,
of it, of course. A lot of people think he should be arrested. A lot of people were behind him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, he's taking the sacrifice. He's been holed up in there forever, man. And now that he's out, now he gets to go do 5 years in jail, is what they're saying. Is probably going to be maximum of 5 years.
Okay.
Plus the 1 year of dodging bail in London.
That's actually not that much time.
Considering, right?
But still, yeah, you don't. I mean, no one wants to do it any time. Are those going
to be 5 hard Guantanamo years, or what are we talking?
I wonder, and I wonder after that, so after he's done his 5 years, then he'll be able to just live in America and be a part of society again.
I don't know how that works.
I'm sure he'll have lots of offers for books and speaking engagements and whatnot.
Remember the whole sex scandal thing they tried to pin on him?
That surprise sex.
To be pretty much bullshit.
Where, I do kind of remember. Did the girl kind of rescind that accusation?
It was never even the girl, actually.
It was only
never said that he did anything inappropriate. It was other, I think the authorities took it on themselves and charged him.
Oh shit!
And
well, how did? Because she must have told somebody. what happened, and then they were like, "Oh, that's not good." Yeah, I bet that's what happened.
5 years ago, I could have told you everything about that case.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, I'm getting old.
I wonder, like, so, we both tend to agree then that WikiLeaks was important, and it's important that we get information out to the public about what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But how much of a difference do you think that actually made in like the American military complex is still the most powerful in the world, and
they showed the world that everyone's being watched. People like him and Snowden, everyone's being watched all the time. The world knows it now.
Yeah.
And now they're still
people in power are abusing their power.
People are keeping
which we know about.
We're still fucking texting like everything we want on social media. We're still sharing everything.
I just read this news story about a bunch of American military people that were going around like taking pictures of like people that they'd killed and like posing them in funny poses and shit, and then posting it on their social media. And yeah, pretty sick. And like, so obviously WikiLeaks didn't stop that from happening. That kind of stuff is still going on. And yeah, so I wonder how he feels. I'd be curious to hear him like interviewed on Rogan. Would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And see how, that would be a really, really good interview. Hopefully that he gets to do that at some point.
I hope he's got great lawyers. I'm sure he's not doing 5 years. Let's be honest. If
it's
the max, I'd say he's doing 2.
If he does, if he ends up actually 2, imagine if Rogan went to prison and did an episode of JRE from prison with Julian Assange. That would be amazing.
Yeah. They could do a Skype show.
Yeah, they could, but it'd be cooler to have like them in, one of those
100%.
like visitor rooms where they don't have any. They just that would be sweet.
That's been pretty rare. I think I can count on one hand how many times Joe has done a podcast somewhere other than his studio.
Yeah, airplanes with the iPhone.
I mean, even
obviously,
other than that, I'm saying
yeah.
I think there's 1 or 2 or 3 instances where he went to someone else's place.
Yeah. Well, he's done a lot of podcasts, other people's podcasts at other places. Yeah. But yeah, he likes to, he's got a certain level of production that he wants to maintain. Yeah. And obviously going to other places reduces that.
For me, it's the standard. The equipment and the quality of setup they have, that's the standard for podcasting. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. Also, we saw the first photos ever of the black hole.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is pretty amazing.
And people have been making some funny memes about like zooming in on the black hole. Yeah, one I saw was like, as you zoomed in, you could see there's a bunch of guitar picks in there because musicians are always losing guitar picks. And
socks.
Yeah. Socks.
A bunch of different matching pairs of socks.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Cool. Anticlimactic. It looks like a blurry cockroach.
It reminded me of Sauron's eye.
Yeah, really. Totally. Yeah. So there's that. And then one local bit of news that's pretty upsetting for probably a lot of people here in Edmonton, the Pride Parade's been canceled.
Yeah, I was reading about that today because of apparently racism
because of the current climate. It's too dangerous to have a fucking Pride Parade here in Edmonton, essentially. I heard that it's because of racism on the board. The people who are in charge of organizing the parade, there was some like accusations of racism there that they were like they were only picking the white gay people to be in the parade or whatever the fuck. I don't know all the details, but yeah, a bunch of like I'm friends with a lot of people in that community because the music community is very closely related, and so. Some of my friends were saying like it's bullshit, and they want the parade to go on. They want to still have the festival, but there is some like, negative things happening there that are, that justly do need to be talked about and need to be fixed. But they were hoping that it wouldn't result in canceling the parade. I misread that completely. I thought I read it as like the state of the current climate, basically,
because of the like yellow vesters and shit. No, apparently that's not the case.
Although I would think that's a real thought and worry too.
It also is, yeah, for sure. It's we can get into it. One of the first thing I wrote for off the top topic was talking about the election that's coming up here. Yeah. Tuesday's voting day in Alberta, and I just watched the debates, the Alberta leaders' debates there, which was basically Notley versus Kenny. And I'm surprised at how like both of them were basically just saying that the other person, there were very little focus, it seemed, on what their platforms were and more focus on like, hey, that person's an asshole and you should not like them because either they're like Kenny was saying all the time that she's an ally with Trudeau, which gets the right wing Alberta people riled up.
It's kind of, yeah.
And saying that her economic track record is awful. But if you actually look at the things, like I have a list of 258 things that she's and the NDP government in general have done since they took power. And I think they've done some amazing things in Alberta, and they're on a really good, I really like the direction that they're going. And I think so. One of Kenny's main platform points is he wants to take the corporate tax from 12% down to 8% so that he'll attract new growth and new investors in Alberta, which fair enough. You might. More, you're just giving a deal to all of your rich corporate buddies. I mean, Alberta already has the lowest corporate tax at 12% in all of Canada. So, like anyone who wants to invest in Alberta, I don't feel like they're deterred. And more than that, I feel like they should pay that 12%. Like the richest among us should be helping out the poor among us. And I know I've said this as Rogan talks about as well, like how do we have a better society? Make less losers. How do we make less losers? We focus on spending money on places that suck.
Helping the people up.
Yeah, help people. Make places suck less.
Yeah.
And I think, cutting education, cutting healthcare, is just going to make us all worse off. And not least, she's spending on those things. She's spending on infrastructure, which I think obviously we have some congestion problems. I feel a little bit bad complaining about congestion in Edmonton when most of the popular podcasts are in LA, where it's 1,000 times worse. But
it's fucking gross.
We do need to spend money on infrastructure. Our roads wear out faster here because of the winters with all the heave and whatnot. The roads don't last anywhere near the way they do in more temperate climates.
Yeah.
So I think companies should pay 12%. I don't think 12% is unreasonable, and I don't think we're deterring a bunch of people from investing here. We might attract some new investment, and there is a point. Like, if they're saying, okay, we're putting the corporate tax up to 60%, that's too much, and you're not going to have people investing here. You're going to have a lot of people that are investing leave. But I think, the 12% is a pretty good balance. So I'm not in favor of reducing that. But I could see if you're a CEO of a big corporation or a major shareholder in a big corporation, maybe you would be
thinking bottom line for sure.
Yeah, so those people would want to vote right. But it's crazy to me that so many right-wing people are not that. Most people are voting against their own interests and voting against programs that would actually benefit them because racism, I guess. I don't know.
The point of it, I guess. To be right? I don't know what it is either, man.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
So that's we have an NDP sign out in our front yard, and
I saw that
I've been fighting with people on Facebook that are just saying ignorant shit. The carbon tax, like that's one of his other Kenny's other big platforms, is he wants to remove the carbon tax that Notley put in. And I see people posting, I just got to fight with one of my friends who's like, fucking carbon tax, it just all it goes to is foreign aid and shipping all that money out of Canada to help immigrants, which is also makes no sense because immigrants are coming to Canada. But anyways, and then I was like, I think that's a common misunderstanding that people have. They don't understand that the carbon tax, all of the revenue, it's actually legislated that all of the revenue from the carbon tax has to be spent on green initiatives here in Alberta. So at least for our carbon tax with the NDP, it's legislated that money has to go towards green projects. And that's what it has done. And you can go and you can easily look up what has the carbon tax been spent on, and you can see all the different projects that we've been involved in using that money for.
I recently read an article saying that it's not even really going to matter who gets elected. We're not going to see another fucking boom like we saw in the 80s. It's not going to happen here in Alberta ever again, probably.
Right.
It's just over. It's not happening. This is now. That was then, Let's move on with the green initiatives. And the solar and the wind. Like, there's ways to make things better.
Absolutely. And that's like Notley's campaign is largely on don't be a racist bigot, and let's have good values that work for all Albertans of all races and colors and sexual orientations and everything. And then also she wants to what was the thing I was just going to talk about, that the green initiatives, the carbon tax, I forgot. I was going to make a point about something you just said, and I totally lost it when I started talking about the other part of her platform. One cool thing that she's done is when she took power, she actually made it illegal for corporations to donate to campaigns, to political campaigns. I thought that was an awesome thing that she was able to get done. Yep. And then she also made it restricted the amount of money that an individual is allowed to give. So it used to be that an individual could give $30,000 to a campaign, and now there's a cap that the maximum an individual can contribute is $4,000.
Oh wow!
So trying to take the wealth out of controlling the government, and I think that's awesome.
For sure,
that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. I mean, you're taking away the corruption.
You know what? I have this list of 258 things. I won't read the whole 258 because that would be another hour of podcasting, but I'll list some of my favorite things. So banned corporate and union donations to political parties. That was awesome. Began building a new cancer treatment center in Calgary in the Foothills Hospital. That's awesome. Yeah. Scrapped the PC healthcare tax. I'm not sure exactly what that was. Raised minimum wage by $2 right away, and then subsequently every year raised it, so it's now $15 an hour.
We can even pause right there. That brought up a lot of ire with people here in Alberta.
Yeah.
Why can't people make more money? What's wrong? That just blows my... $15 an hour? Who can live on $15 an hour?
You can't live on $15 an hour. There's, I have some mixed feelings about it because working in an industry where people make $15 an hour, one, I can't take all the other people that were making slightly more and raise them up to $16 and $17 and $18 an hour.
It might feel unfair.
And so now, there's a lot of people that are making the same amount of money as people that have been 3 and 4 years in a job. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit unfair that way. And the other thing is that, in running a business, we have a percentage of our revenue that we're able to spend on payroll. You get something what's called a P&L, or profit and loss report, and that everything, you have what you sold, your total amount of sales, and then you subtract all of the cost of the product, the cost of keeping the lights on, your rent, the cost of payroll, paying everybody, and the cost, and then you have your kind of your profit reports. Mm-hmm. And there's a percentage that you're able to spend on payroll, and it's not like when the minimum wage goes up, the government gives all these companies a bunch of money so that they can keep that payroll the same. We still have the same amount of money to spend. Yeah. So what that means is that instead of having 5 people working on the floor, we have 3 people working on the floor.
Right. It didn't mean,
and those people are making more money.
Less time worked.
It's less, and it's less people. So some people that might have been getting 40 hours at $10 an hour. Mm-hmm. Are now only getting 20 hours,
20 or less,
and then it's they're actually making less money. So there are definitely some arguments against raising minimum wage in some ways that it isn't the best for every worker. And then there's the argument too, one of the things that Kenny is saying is that he wants to make it so that the youth, under 18, can make a lower minimum wage because they don't need that extra money. And so
that's going to be controversial.
Yeah. Sure. And it already is. Yeah. And obviously, if you're living with your parents at home, you don't maybe necessarily need to be making $15 an hour. Yeah. You don't need to make a living wage. Yeah. But one of the big problems I see with that is that if you make it so that some people can be paid, are allowed to be paid less, corporations will find a way to it'll be beneficial for them to get rid of people who are over 18 and hire more people who are under 18. And I just get nervous about people losing their jobs just because they make too much money, and that corporations can hire other people for less money. So it just makes more sense to keep on hiring younger people.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, and everything else inflated though, you know what I mean? The cost of groceries is inflated, the cost of rent is inflated.
Sure, yeah.
Should not the wages that people make
inflate, absolutely,
so that it's comparative to what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What you can live in based on this level of income you're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And with the, it is crazy when you look at, compared to say the 1950s, an average salary and an average house price, buying a house and living in a house and rent, versus today, the wages and the rent. And it's just housing has gotten so expensive, especially in major markets Edmonton, Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto.
Oh, and everywhere.
Yeah.
I've been
not everywhere.
I've been looking at quite a few places, and it's growing quite a bit. Everywhere.
Check out New Brunswick. Check out Moncton.
This is true. Yeah, there's not a lot of growth going on in Moncton.
Yeah, like my house can buy me like an amazing 2-story like mansion on the ocean.
This is true. This is true.
for
same with Nova Scotia and Newfoundland as well. Nova Scotia is a little more expensive, but it's still pretty cheap.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, relative to Edmonton, anyways.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I looked at Victoria prices, and it's pretty atrocious.
Yeah, Victoria
and Vancouver don't even fucking bother.
Yeah, Vancouver.
They're trying to legislate something there where they can't be this expensive anymore. Like they're trying to make it cheaper because people are leaving in droves.
It is like it's almost impossible to live there. You just got to be like a super rich person. Same thing, I guess, as New York. That was weird to me. I guess there was rent control. They have some like stuff like that in New York for people.
I mean, is there more money being made in places like that? Really?
I don't know. Well, there's obviously
not for an average workaday guy, probably, right?
No, like the stock markets and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've often thought it'd be cool to live in Vancouver, but again, it's
a nice city.
Yeah.
There's some cool shit going on out there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's I guess that's it for us this week.
Yeah. We got a big UFC coming up this weekend, as we said.
Yeah.
You got something going on for that? Or?
I got some money on. I don't have a plan for watching it. What are you thinking?
I don't know. You going out somewhere maybe?
Maybe.
I'm not sure what we're doing. Stacey's finishing school this week, so I think she's excited to do maybe something.
Have a little celebration?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm into watching it for sure. I'm off. I work 8:30 to 5 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then so I'll be available.
And then for all you Game of Thrones fiends, I don't know if you're big like I am.
I am. I've been powering through. Dude. There's a list of 23 episodes to watch before it comes back on.
Saying.
And I watched since Monday. I've watched 11 episodes.
I just recently watched the whole thing.
Yeah,
kid. I just got him up to date.
That's I would like to. I kind of wish I did that. I was thinking about it a couple months ago. Like, there was a post on Facebook that said, if you start right now watching one episode per day, you can watch the entire thing before it starts.
Oh God,
because there's 67 episodes I think total.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
It's a lot.
I feel like, because I was like, you know what? I remember pretty much what's going on. If I think of each character, I can think of kind of what their stories are. So I didn't feel like I needed to watch it. But since I started watching them, I have been like, oh yeah, that. And like, there's been plenty. It's been good. So
there's plenty that I didn't think of while it was happening. And now that I know more and you see back, it's pretty awesome.
Makes more sense.
Again.
Totally.
Yeah. Even the first season holds up. Like,
yeah, the first episode. I remember when I first watched the first opening scene, we see the White Walker, we see, it's like that opening scene with the like gory, all the bodies chopped up and in the snow. And I was like, oh my God, what a hardcore show this is. I was so excited as soon as I was like, oh, this is something special here.
Yeah.
I got the feeling. And then I watched the whole show and I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching this series.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best.
Pretty good.
Maybe my favorite show of all time.
100%.
Yeah. I feel like such a nerd when I talk about it too.
Yeah.
But I can't even help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much more titties in the early seasons as well than in the later seasons.
It's something funny about that. I've actually been listening to the books on audiobook, and I'm on the 4th book right now, A Feast for Crows.
Okay.
The storyline's not that sexed up.
Oh, no?
As it is on HBO.
Oh, the HBO, they added a lot of that?
There's no like blatant Renly and Loras fucking at all.
Oh.
That doesn't even happen in the books. They allege that they're both kind of maybe into boys, but they don't say that they fucked each other.
Oh, interesting. Well, and Loras was like, he was sleeping around with other people previously as well.
Right, yeah.
And he got caught with...
They never actually say he's gay in the book.
Oh, interesting.
They never do for anyone, though. They just... and this is what's funny, actually. In the past, I don't know if it's funny, but in the past, like in ancient history, a lot of like warriors had like boys they'd keep around, like especially the Greeks.
Right.
I don't know if you know that, but
yeah, I've heard it on Rogan.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, me too, actually. But that's not where I heard it originally.
Right.
Yeah, no, the Greeks were a twisted bunch when it comes to their boys.
Well, we'll end it with the Twisted Greeks and their twisted little boys.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Get at us. If you find us on any social medias, send us emails. The Rogan Report at gmail.com, I think, is our email address.
Yep. At the Rogan Report Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep. There you go.
And look for us on Facebook, the Rogan Report.
Yeah. Send us a message. We'll be happy to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
Take care.
Hey there, Joe Rogan, super fan. This podcast is for you, my man. Or woman, or non-binary. Our recaps will be legendary. The Rogan Report Podcast. Come on, you'll have a blast at the Rogan Report Podcast.